This DYM podcast is brought to you by LeaderTrex. Go to serve, return ready to lead. On a LeaderTrex mission trip, you'll serve and get out of your comfort zone. And through the program, your students will learn how to lead. They'll bring back that leadership and confidence to your youth ministry, and it will make a difference the rest of the year. Learn more and sign up at leadertrex.org. And since we love DYM, listeners get 10% off resources by using the code DYM10 at leadertrex.org.
Three, two, one. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Download Youth Ministry Podcast. This is episode 320. Doug Fields here with the queen of all youth ministry, Katie Edwards, the person who thinks he's the co-host but never does anything related to hosting, Josh Griffin.
Hurt people, Doug.
We are live at DYM 100, week 2. In Southern California, and we have with us a very special guest. This is Alex Gorod. Alex Gorod is the winner. You guys don't even know this because I just found out about 2 minutes ago. Alex. Yeah.
I won the iTunes contest to be able to come here for free. So
yeah.
All these other suckers had to pay for it. You got here free.
That's right. Well, we had that contest because we just have been told we need more people to review the show on iTunes.
That's right.
Even though it's an award-winning show, Alex, you know that, don't you?
Bribery's the best.
Yeah. So we asked for some people to give reviews, and here is the contest winner, Alex. We are week 2. How are you feeling about this DYM 100 thing?
Amazing.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's been really, really good.
How do you think it compares to week 1?
Oh, I doubt they even had fun.
No, they didn't. Well, you know what they didn't?
Pretty sure God's presence wasn't even here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Alex, here's the deal. They didn't get one of these. This is a bath towel.
Those are fantastic. Is that to make fun of Josh?
I don't know. It makes fun. It says stolen from Download Youth Ministry. Did you see these?
It's clever.
They're very nice.
Did you get one, Katie? You can have that one.
Week 1 did not get that.
Well. It's all good. It's great.
Week 1 did not get that, and week 1 did also not get this new pin. This new pin says DYM 100, and it's a ticket, like they want a ticket to DYM 100. Okay. And it actually has, each pin has a number on it. Like this one says 219. So last year, Alex, we did DYM 100. Then last week we did DYM 100, which was the second set of 100 people. So this is DYM 100, which is going to be 200 to 300. And each pin has its own number.
Oh, that's huge.
And our live audience is going to get one on the way out.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
I want one.
This collectible pin trading thing is off the charts.
It's amazing.
It is sweeping the nation.
And so, let's do this. Alex, if you wouldn't mind giving up your seat to Sam Powers. Sam Powers, come on up here. Alex, thank you for sending in iTunes. Alex actually drove 1,800 miles, Josh. Did you know that?
1,800 miles, that's crazy.
He drove 1,800 miles from Washington.
So
Sam
he left
Powers,
his water. Is this now my water?
Well, everybody, whoever
open.
sits there can drink out of that
take a
water.
drink out of it. You're fine.
Yeah, we're going to have some rotating guests because Matt McGill,
Yeah, where is he?
his son had a football game. He's out. Jason Carson, who replaced Matt McGill after Matt McGill got canned, and then he got Pismo'd.
After getting canned.
And then he couldn't make it today. Aww. And so we thought, let's just keep that chair open and rotating. This is Sam Powers, and Sam made these. You made
the pins?
Pins. Yeah, so I had them actually ordered. I didn't physically make them, but they all do say 219. So
they all say 219.
They're not an individual number, but it is 219 for that reason.
Numbered 219.
Yeah, it's not as impressive that way, but it's still very cool. Yeah.
When
Allison told me that, I thought, That's amazing that each one has a different number. I'm like,
I think we should make
It's
Sam
still cool, though. It's still
engrave
cool.
them on the back an
That would have been
individual number.
smart.
With
no, I
everybody's
mean,
name.
what a nice gift. Now, other than the three of us being DYM eye candy, why else would you do this?
So our ministry is actually, we do pin trading, and so it's kind of something that students really love, and they kind of take a token to remember the event by. And so I love to just take the token and give back to the community that's given so much to me, and so that's kind of what we do.
That's awesome.
That
Wait,
is
like,
great.
what kind of pins do you make that
Yeah,
they
like
trade?
for a series
Just like
or
for an
an
event?
overnighter or what?
So I've been back in my home church, and so we just created for our volunteers a 1-year Chaos Control badge pin. And so it's a badge that says Chaos Control, First Baptist Church Henrietta Student Ministry, and it's got a 1 on it. And then there's also a 2, a second one. It's a different style pin. When we get to 4, it's going to be the Texas Ranger badge, and so it's like a big icon of celebrating like the legacy. And you challenged me, Katie, when you talked about the legacy team members that you have.
That is great. I like that. We actually
That's cool.
We we made a pin for people who were alumni who did DYM
right.
100 last year, and then everybody that came to DYM 100 this time.
Yeah, and we have plans for other pins that are not yet released, some of which we already have, and now we have the golden ticket pin.
That is fat. It's like and you made a little.
Little bag
satchel.
Yeah.
Is that what that's called?
Did you hand make those or did you order those?
So I ordered
Satchel, is
the
that the right
bag.
word, Kenny?
It's,
Satchel.
yeah.
Satchel?
Yeah. It's like that.
This is
not a word.
DYM. So everybody
It's
on
cute.
your way out, you're going to get a pin courtesy of Sam Powers. How
Where do
great
you-
is that?
Power.
Where do you put your pins?
I like that. I
do you
like
put your
that.
pins?
In a satchel?
Yeah, okay.
Where do you put your pins?
Maybe on my backpack.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
So
That's what
I
all the
use
cool
them as
people do.
my tacks on my bulletin board, and so they hold up pictures and stuff in my office, and
I
the
like
students
it.
can come by and look
I
at
like it.
them.
I
They
think
love them.
DYM needs to come up with some pin type
That's
of.
great.
You
I
know,
like it. A little pin community.
Sam, last night after we ended last night about 9:15, we had options.
Oh.
People could do coffee. People could do CrossFit. People could do creamistry. People could chill.
Right.
Josh
Any of
and
those
I did
things.
CrossFit with about 20 other people. You did
Yeah.
what?
I went home and had dinner with my kids.
So that's chill.
That's chill.
Chill
That's
with
good.
my
Chill
kids.
time.
Yes.
And who did coffee? I haven't even heard about the coffee. Our live
I heard
audience.
it was riveting.
Yeah.
One person over
All
there.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two.
Two
Yeah.
people from Seattle with Alex. And then you guys got an Airbnb right down the street.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah, you can hear his friends in the audience. This is they call it the party house.
there's 11 youth workers who went in on this Airbnb
That's dangerous.
in my neighborhood where I live.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like $30 a night for you guys.
Yeah, for 38.
And then after we did CrossFit, Josh and I went. There's somebody there that had a
Yeah,
birthday,
that's
Andy or something, and we went there. And
Yeah, Austin
we brought him
Alberto, Adam.
Adam. Yeah, I knew it was an
Adam.
A. We brought him a bag of goodies.
Perfect.
Yeah, it was like a birthday greeting.
You
Yeah,
guys,
And
you know
then-
how fast those Oreos were
DYM
gone?
is
Yeah,
full
they were gone.
service.
13 youth workers in a room, box of double stuffed Oreos. It was like 4 seconds they were gone.
So, Katie, we go into the
Sprout.
backyard, and there's a
Sprout.
jacuzzi, and like 8 guys are jammed in the jacuzzi like a hot dog in a bun.
Yeah, cool.
And-
Cool picture.
Felt like it was
in a satchel.
Cool picture.
Yeah,
So
there'd be
a
like
pin. Maybe we do pins
There are
now.
about
I heard about the pins.
8 or 11 pins in one satchel is what the jacuzzi looked
There
like.
was a lot of
And
dudes in the
then
hot tub.
there's a warlock who's here who's doing these magic
Oh, yeah,
tricks.
street
Right,
magic.
yes.
He's
Which,
Oh,
by
it's
the way,
amazing.
his countdown clocks that we do at
there's
DYM,
sell
we
them
have
in the store. Yeah,
how many, David? How many do we have? We have 3.
we
and,
need 300. They're
and they were
unbelievable.
awesome. But to have him in person doing them,
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
it's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
The tricks are so good. People think that maybe we should run a wooden stake through his heart. Like that's how
Yeah.
he's really good.
So if you want to check him out, go on the DYM website, look at a countdown clock, and he does magic,
Yeah.
hand magic,
card magic,
card magic.
Let's just call it magic.
turns his
we got a satchel
8
for
guys
everybody
in
here.
one satchel.
Just magic.
So there's eight pins in a satchel. There's the warlock doing magic tricks, and then Sam
Oh, Sam has a
Sam
great
is
skill.
lighting things on fire. at this Airbnb.
Right, because you can, right?
I'm
On
a volunteer
Airbnb.
fire department member, so it's okay.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
Totally.
Yeah, I'm sure that's in the
Totally
in the small
fine.
print at the Airbnb.
Yeah, totally.
Small print. You're welcome to light fires in the backyard if you're a
Right.
volunteer
As long as you're a volunteer
firefighter.
firefighter.
And
Totally.
and then Sam
Easy.
got Josh and I to dip our hands in some
Yeah.
evil juice,
Bubbly fire juice.
Yep, flammable.
and then he'd light our hands on fire.
Whoa.
Yeah, and
We
We
then
should do that up here.
we
That sounds
could.
fun.
We
Do
could.
you have any with you?
It's at the house.
What are you waiting
And
for?
then, and then I had my hand out, and he takes it, and he puts, like, your microphone is on fire.
Right?
Put it in my hand, and I went like that, and I held on to fire.
Wow.
You don't believe me, do you?
No, I do.
Yeah.
You're
Tonight at
freaking
the-
Doug Fields. You can
No,
hold fire.
no,
I
it's-
get it.
He had to do it like 5 or 6 times, and
Tonight at the secret finale, wherever it is we're going tonight for the DY 100, we should
That should
have
play
the
a
fire
role.
guy. You
yeah,
should
that
be
should
there.
play a role.
Do you want anything? You want that?
Yeah.
I don't know if we can get insurance in
So-
time.
Yeah, I
but
don't
if
know.
But he's
If
a
not, Fonnie
volunteer
can just cover it.
firefighter.
We're
It's
fine.
all
We're
fine.
fine.
It's all fine.
hey, let's do this. Sam, thank you for being here. Thank you for this pin,
Give
the
it
whole
for
bit.
Sam. Thank you,
Appreciate
Sam.
that.
Yay, Sam.
And we have let's bring our warlock up here.
Let's do it. David Wood.
David Wood, come on up
are you here?
While David comes up, let me go ahead and read one of the questions. We're not dipping into our the questions that are sent in through podcast at downloadyouthministry.com.
These are live.
These are ones that have been written by our live audience
Oh, yeah.
members. We're not going to be able to get to all of them, and some of them aren't that good. But we have sponsors, Josh. You want to talk about our
We
sponsors?
do. We are sponsored by Orange. Orange runs a great conference, and they take that conference on tour every fall. If you haven't signed up for Orange.
Actually, I leave tomorrow morning.
Oh, you do?
Our flight's at 6:45. This ends like tonight late.
Tonight
we
late.
leave at 6:45. I'm flying to Fort Lauderdale, and then I'm flying to Minnesota to do the Orange.
Have fun with that. Have fun. Minnesota in the crowd
All right.
tonight. That's great. Orange, very thankful for them and their primary sponsorship. We're also
Yeah.
sponsored by Leader Trucks. Leader Trucks sponsored a meal here at DY 100. Was that meal good? Was it good?
Yeah.
It's
Well,
terrific.
and Orange gave everybody a book.
Orange
this
gave
morning.
everybody a book. Leader Trucks
Book.
gave everybody some deep discounts, but only if you're at the DY 100.
Yeah.
Sorry, listeners.
Yeah.
And we played Extreme Bingo
Yeah.
and YM360.
They haven't given us anything.
They didn't give us anything.
Not even a pin.
What's their? You know what? We should get them in on the pin game. We should do it.
Well, they should send better gifts. David.
Well, you
Yes.
still have an unopened gift from YM360 on your desk from Christmas.
I know.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
No,
Do you
it's
have
still on my desk, but I said I will open it in December.
Yeah, this Christmas.
I'm going to let it
Something
sit
to
a
look
year.
forward to.
I'm going to let it sit a year. I'm giving YM360 a year to come up with better gifts.
Yeah.
And
That feels reasonable.
yeah.
It's just a little constructive coaching.
yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
Good
I
for
mean,
you.
we're like this podcast put YM360 on the map.
That's exactly how
yeah.
it went.
They were YM30.
And we
once
just
they
dropped it in.
Yep,
the
they
six.
became YM360.
Ladies and gentlemen, David Wood.
hello. Hi.
David, you
Warlock,
are a youth
vampire.
pastor in Bakersfield, California?
Modesto, real close, same thing.
Very
Same thing.
middle of
Yeah.
very middle of California, where isn't it true? No one wants to live. Let's be honest.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
No,
Birthplace
I won't
of
say what people
George
said
Lucas.
about it.
George Lucas was born in Modesto, California.
Yeah,
I love
absolutely.
Star Trek, so I'm very excited that yeah.
Obviously.
I'm gonna eat my feelings
Cake,
in
just
this
eat that
orange
cake.
cake right here. I just
So you have been blowing everybody away with your card magic, and how do you use that in youth ministry?
So I love to do it. It's a blast, and I've discovered I am really not that great without it. So it's a wonderful way. It's a wonderful way to tear down
You're
walls.
self-aware, which is great. That's
absolutely.
part of being a leader.
It is. We talked about that. It really tears down walls, especially with new kids. There's always that they're sitting with their arms crossed in the room, and just to be able to go up to them, and I'm awkward, so for me to come up and start a conversation with someone, it's difficult.
Yeah,
So,
because cards make you less awkward. Yeah, yeah.
What's like your opening line? You just walk up and like, hey,
Draw a card.
Hey, hey, dude, draw a
opening
card.
line
Hey,
is,
what school do you
Hey,
go
bro,
to? Draw
pick
a card.
his opening line is, well, I was homeschooled. Let's do a magic trick. It'll be great. It's too far.
You don't know my life, all right, guys? That's enough.
You don't know me.
No, how and we talked you into doing these video countdowns.
Yeah, I kind of begged on my knees for a little while, but
did you?
It worked out. It was real smooth, and it's been thought of it a little bit before I met you, and then it just came together.
Yeah,
David and I were on a whitewater rafting trip as like youth pastor couples that were on this whitewater rafting trip, and he was mesmerized. Yeah, we were not there as a couple, although I mean, whatever.
Just saying.
And he was there with his lovely wife, Beth, and we were just having the best time, and he started doing these magic tricks, and I was like, dude, these would crush. They're so fun. And here we are a year later, resources on the site, and now doing them live for DY100.
Yeah,
So fun.
Amazing.
Another reason DY100 Week 2 is so much better than Week 1.
Yes.
You know what? I'm going to defend the people that were week 1. Week 1, they were nice.
There's some nice people. It was fun.
We didn't have any. We didn't have any
We didn't
wizards.
have magic.
Yeah,
We didn't.
yeah. We didn't have enough shirts for like 10 people
People
here.
seem mad.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of competition between week 1
There's
and
like-
week 2.
Don't get him too riled up. There's a guy who lights a lot of fires, so we don't
Yeah,
want to
that's
burn
true.
anything
Seriously.
down.
That's true. David,
Feel
thank
tense.
you for being here. Thank you for entertaining us. Thank you for creating these videos for countdowns. I'm a little bit of a magic geek, you can tell. I don't know how to do anything, although I did my kids, like when they were in kindergarten, I did their birthday parties with some magic stuff.
Nice.
You just basic. I mean, I could show
Would you
you.
like hide the pins in the satchel kind of stuff? Or
Yeah.
what would you do?
Yeah.
And they're gone.
Can you show us?
I could, well, it's basics.
Show us.
I don't know.
Show us.
It's in my
What do you need? We'll
It's
get
in my
it for
prop
you.
closet. Yeah. I actually have
Yikes.
my wife is here, don't I? Yeah. Cass, my daughter's here.
A prop closet?
I
Like
have
a-
magic props. Yeah, they go all the way back to I'm not very good. I just make things disappear.
I mean,
Not that big a deal.
that's good.
I can't do card tricks
that's
though.
hard.
Those are good. And if
Thank
I
you.
would have had that in my youth ministry career to like talk to kids, I'd have had a better,
Yeah.
You'd
better
have
ministry.
a better run than
Yeah.
you did.
Yeah.
Totally.
Better run. Yeah, you're
Totally.
kind of a slacker
Dang it, if Duck
fields. I don't
Fields could
know.
just be a little bit better.
Let's
Oh
give
my
it up for
gosh.
David Wood.
David Wood in a world.
So a question was written in. My buddy, let's call him Andrew, used to be a youth pastor. Now he's a senior pastor, and I hate him. He still wants to talk and hang out, but I don't. How can I break it off without hurting his feelings?
Oh,
That's
a great
let's bring to the
question.
show Andrew Larson, don't you think? Andrew Larson.
Everybody.
Andrew.
Where are you? Come on down.
Andrew Larson. Okay, as he makes his way down, Katie, have you had a highlight?
Of this week?
Yeah.
Oh, it's just so fun hearing everybody's stories and
You-
like how they're doing, and I don't know. I'm learning a ton.
You just
so
taught on volunteers.
It was so fun.
Yeah.
I love volunteers.
And how great is she?
Yeah.
Right?
Thank you.
Unbelievable. The best.
I know.
This is
you.
Andrew Larson. Do you know Andrew?
Well, we know, I mean, just from being.
We saw
at
each other in the
DY100.
parking lot
Yeah,
the
we
other
saw each
day.
other in the parking lot.
Yeah.
We waved across. Yeah.
Andrew and his buddy Timothy Miller, who used to have dreadlocks but now looks like
Everybody else in the world.
everybody else. He got a
He
haircut.
looks employable.
Yeah, exactly. What I love your guys' story is you guys have done youth ministry. About how far apart from one another?
Our churches were about an hour and 15 minutes away from each other.
And so they would do series together, do the same passages. You would work on a message, and he
He would do a game in a small group to go with the message, and we, text 700 or 800 times in the week to make sure we were both on the same page for different points and different illustrations and stuff.
Yeah,
You kind of tag team the creation of all this stuff.
And you're so far apart from one another. Your churches have no idea that you're preaching his stuff and he's preaching
Yeah, they
your
thought
stuff.
we were both really original, and
Yeah.
it worked well.
I love that. And then they submitted a bunch of product together, and we'd have 2 authors on one product, and we started looking, and they went, "This is really good stuff." And, you guys, I think you guys really did a great job setting the bar.
I agree.
For the standard of sermons and series that are submitted. You guys have done well with those, right?
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, it's great. But now, so every once in a while, we all make decisions where we fall outside of God's will.
Yes.
And
I'm feeling convicted for you right
That's
now.
not you. That's not you.
No, but you left youth ministry just recently.
I did, yes.
Burn him.
No, it's all right.
Burn him. Burn him.
For those that are listening that don't know, every time David Wood would do this great magic trick, Josh would start a chant, burn him.
Yeah, or crucify him. We had a bunch of good ones.
Yeah,
but, oh, well.
So anyway, just to make people feel like they belong.
You had to be there.
Yeah.
You had to be there.
Yeah. So how's the transition going?
Yeah, you don't strike me as senior pastor material, so tell me.
It is weird.
That's not true.
Well,
that's
how
not
long
true.
were you thinking that before you said
holding on
it?
that for like 8 minutes going,
pretty true. I have to be reminded by the ladies that work on the church multiple times a week that I'm in charge. Which is like really weird. They're like, we really need you to make this decision because you're in charge. And it's terrifying. But
because you're waiting for the senior pastor to make the decision.
Someone smarter and older and more mature will come in here and, decide what the cover of the bulletin should be this week.
Yeah.
And
usually sunsets and a cross are my go-to. That feels right. Like
flowery fields.
Exactly. Yes,
like
the daisies or something.
flags on 4th of July, that kind of stuff.
Yes.
What's the best part that you could never do as the youth pastor, but now you're like, this is the best doing it as a senior pastor?
Good question.
It's such a unique church that I'm at. It is a church a block away from Main Street in the town that I grew up in. And it's like this. It's like Mayberry, except it's in the Tampa area. So there's 1 million people within 15 minutes of me, but the town that I'm in, there's no stoplights. There's a giant gazebo in town, and where a Renaissance Fair band was playing a couple weeks ago.
Obviously.
Yeah. So I get to walk around downtown and have coffee with the barbershop guy, and it's unique.
Do you wear a clerical collar?
I do not wear a clerical collar, unless I want the good parking spot at the hospital, because then you gotta.
Yeah, you gotta have one of those.
So I get to kind of be. I am the only pastor in downtown, and it's a walking community, and so it's to the people at the post office and the barbershop and Starbucks. I am. Hey, Pastor Andrew, which is really weird.
So cool,
but
though.
it's really cool, and it's something that I don't think I could experience in another setting.
Yeah, so do you think you'll ever get to the point where you hire your buddy Timothy to be the youth guy?
I would love that. That would be spectacular.
Is that why he shaved?
He would have to take a major pay cut because we're a little church. It's very much a church revitalization project that we're working on.
So he'll take a paycheck. He'll just write more for DYM.
There you go.
Does he need to become a Christian though?
No, we're good.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Christian optional position.
Yeah, because you've been writing the talks and he's just been doing the games, right?
We dabble. There's input from both of us on the games and
That's
the stuff.
nice.
Tell us your favorite 2 resources you guys have worked on, in case someone's listening going, I'd like to check that out.
I think if my wife was here, she would say her favorite resource was a one-off message we did called Masterpiece. It's based on Ephesians, talking about how we are masterpieces created in order to do good works. And there's a really fun game that comes with that, which is, I don't even remember what it's called. It's like zoomed in pieces of chewed up gum. Tim, do you remember what the game was called?
I love it.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a great message.
Did our producers not prep you before you came out here?
No, not at all.
No, okay.
No, Tim just started hitting me when you started to read the question, and that was the extent of my prep. But that's probably the favorite one-off. And then, there's a bunch of series that we've done, but there's one called Be Near, where we each wrote a couple of weeks for that one, and it was on the games we play to be close to God. And that was one that just was, I think every time you write something, it's personal to you, but it was kind of, all right, well, this is where I'm going through in my struggle to be close to God and to feel close to God. And so then to write something like that and see the way the kids in our student ministry responded to it, that's been cool.
That's great. That's great. What is in a moment of seriousness? I mean, that was very serious also, but what is I feel like DYM has meant a lot to you over the last couple of years.
It has been a complete game changer. both Tim and I kind of came up through the ministry ranks at bigger churches, and then looked around one day and found ourselves we're at average-sized churches. And we used to have multi-staff youth ministry people, and now there's just me in kind of a silo ministry. So DYM gave me a best friend and partner in ministry. And we were buddies before, but having the partnership of somebody that we're doing ministry together, even though we're different sides of the county in our situation. And then I always feel bad because when I tell people to become an author, I feel like it's going to take money out of my pocket eventually because their stuff will be better than mine. But I mean, my kids have Disney tickets because of DYM. My kids get to go. We've got annual passes to Walt Disney World because of DYM. My wife, it's not going to replace a full-time income, but it's the difference of our family having to have dad come home early from work one night so my wife can go off to her part-time job. DYM has made it so that she can be a full-time mom for this season of our life.
Yeah, that's great. Love that.
Dude,
love
that's
that. Very
cool.
Very cool. Cool. Well, and Josh and I talk about all that the time. That's one of the benefits of DYM. We have people here who are authors that have used the DYM royalty money to adopt children, pay for medical expenses, get out of debt, go do the vacation.
Yeah, take a vacation
type thing.
Go
We just
cruise,
continue to hear those
Disney Pass,
stories.
That's so fun. Whenever you go, you remember Doug and Josh made
Literally
this possible.
every time we are there, it's like I am the hero to my kids, and it's because I wrote something good for my youth group that other youth groups got to use.
Dude, that makes us really proud.
Yeah, that's
Good
cool.
job.
It's a win on every level.
Yeah,
Good job.
very cool.
I'm grateful. I've taught that masterpiece lesson. I love it. I did only with I did a girls only kind of. We did a little girls retreat, and that was one of the lessons that I used, and I loved it. So even grateful as a youth pastor to you for sharing your stuff. That helps all of us just in those moments where we need extra inspiration or care or ideas. So
this has turned into like a hall.
Up here.
Well, it feels like we could be in your little town right now.
I would love you to
like
come
a little Hallmark
to Safety
moment.
Harbor, Florida.
I'd have to get a Segway or something, though. He said walking town. I'm just not into that. I need to just piggyback ride town.
Neither am I.
Yeah.
My step count has gone way up since I started working there.
There you go.
That's good. Well, thanks for being on
Thank you.
on the show.
This was unexpected and
I know.
awesome.
We're
Thank
making
you.
it up as we go. It's just like we do.
All right.
All
Let's
right.
thank Andrew for being here. Very cool. Do you have any questions, Doug? Or
We got a
just
lot of
gonna riff?
questions.
What do you think?
We got a lot of questions. Yeah, we got too many questions. What's the best way to stay current in youth trends? This is from Grant Bird, the old youth guy.
Oh, I like Grant Bird from
Where is
Texas.
Grant? Grant, come on up here. Come on, Grant.
Oh, Grant. If you get your question called, do you get on the show?
No.
Oh, that's
but
incredible.
Grant, when I'm speaking at different places, and I know Grant's there, I always like to ask how old Grant is because he's the one guy. He's the one guy that's older than me.
Dude, Grant's pretty shredded for a guy as old as you, Doug.
I know.
Hey, he asks me the question every time we're together because I am a little bit older than him, just so he feels a little bit better.
That's good.
Yeah.
You're helping his
It makes me
self-esteem.
feel a little worse, I think.
Yeah, Grant, how long have you been at your church?
26 years.
See, that's
Dude.
worth of applause
Here,
right
just
there.
Take one of
Yeah.
our seats, man. That's awesome.
No,
Grant.
that is great. So that's heroic. And your senior pastor is like half your age, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
He's only been there 3 weeks, so
Yeah.
we'll see how long I can stay.
That's great. What's the best way to know to stay current in youth trends?
Sure. Center for Parent and Youth Understanding, CPYU, is a really great option. Homeward sends out a culture brief every week, every month, sends a lot
Every
of updates.
Friday, yeah.
I would encourage you to pick up a few magazines that teenagers are looking at and find out what's influencing them. We had a great session here at DY 100 from one of the brand managers at Blizzard Entertainment that does video games. Find out the video games, the YouTube influencers that students are into. Really, it's easier than it's ever been to find out culture. Just read BuzzFeed a couple times a week, and you will get pop culture really, really quickly. There's tons of other options. One would be watch an awards show like MTV Movie Awards or the Emmy Awards or the whatever, the music stuff. You get a sometimes frightening glimpse into the culture in a hurry. So if you feel out of touch, those would be some great first steps. Yeah, and Grant, you're not out of touch, dude. I think what I love about you, and we've known each other for a long time as well, is you love and you know your kids and you care for them. And that will transcend any cultural top 10 iTunes, Spotify. You're really, you shepherd them. It'd be cool if you knew some of the cultural references, great. But Grant, you're a good youth worker.
Yeah, that's true.
Thanks a lot, Josh.
And
Thanks
the beauty is, if you have some of the cultural pieces that you can throw into a talk, you don't even have to know what they are. Just throw them in. Have somebody help you know what they are. But so many older youth workers think that I got to stay relevant. I don't think kids are going, oh, I'm not sure I can connect with him or her because they're relevant. What they need us to be is real. They need us to be loving. And you personify that.
Well, and that word relevant is such an interesting word, because I think sometimes we think being relevant means being cool, but I really think being relevant is being thoughtful. So being thoughtful about your audience and knowing who they are, I think help us to be, relevant to where they're at. So it's not necessarily, I don't think we can keep up with trends. They're so fast, and they're so fast paced, and with technology, it's hard to keep up. So knowing a few things, but then maybe even inviting some of your students into your talks, like, hey, what are some of the things that you're listening to, or what are some of the things that are fun for you? And I think culture in middle school and high school are very different. The trends, the things that they watch and listen to are not necessarily the same. So even talking to a middle schooler and a high schooler about some of the things that are in their world are always a great place to start too.
Yeah, it's great.
Thanks.
Thanks, Grant. Appreciate it. 26 years.
26 years
in one church. That is dang heroic. This is a question: getting married at age 31 and ministry is growing. Just added our 25th small group leader. How do you best move from being the primary relational force of your ministry to having leaders be that voice?
That's really good. Really good question. I experienced
How do you say Jeff's last name? Jeff Kanokir. How do you say it?
Kokenauer?
Kokenauer, yeah.
How's it spelled?
Yeah, just like that.
Just like it was. Okay.
Kokenauer.
Kokenauer.
All right, here we go. What were you going to say?
You know what?
We're so excited to hear you.
Isn't his handwriting pretty?
It's beautiful.
That is
great job.
His fiance probably just read that
Great
too.
job.
It's beautiful.
No, well.
Nice.
What were you going to say?
I don't know. What was the question again? I was just distracted by his last name. Speaking of junior hires, I just got distracted by the pronunciation. Kokenauer. Got it. Not anything else. Great. What else?
Yeah. How do you best move from being the primary relational force of your ministry to having leaders be that force?
This is actually a little bit of a painful experience. I was about 7-8 years into youth ministry and realized that I was no longer a pastor to students. I was no longer a pastor to teenagers. I was a pastor of adults who worked with teenagers. And that was really painful because I felt like my training, my wiring, my gifting, I want to hang with students. I want to be in the mix. I want to be driving the van. I don't want to be organizing a couple vans, or I want to be in it. And I quickly realized that if the ministry is going to grow, it has to outgrow me. And it's going to be built on the infrastructure of great leaders that I've trained. And I will help care for and oversee them. And my leaders are my youth group. And then they're going to minister to teenagers. So I would say it was a painful process of having to release some of the way that I have always done ministry and asking God to bless and trusting that other people to do the job that I felt deeply passionate to do myself. So it's not easy, Jeff. It's not an easy transition at all.
Yeah, it's actually, I call it the bait and switch. So the bait and switch was, my youth pastor who was here the other night talking, Jim Burns, I wanted to go into youth ministry because he was so good with teenagers. I'm like, I can do that. I want to do that. I feel called to do that. Get into youth ministry, start spending time with teenagers. You realize that won't scale. Jesus hung out with 12. And he was God, so he had that thing going for him, and even one went sideways. So really, if we are gonna scale our ministry and meet the growth demand, we've got to move from really a pastor of students to a pastor of adults. You become more valuable to your church if you can develop leaders. Yeah. But it doesn't mean you just stop spending time with kids. You just have to do. Yeah, and
if you don't make this transition, you're going to put absolutely put a lid on your youth ministry because you're going to be your relational capacity is going to be the capacity of your youth ministry. So if you're doing youth ministry alone, you're doing it wrong. You got to build a team and raise that capacity, raise that lid.
Anytime there's a lid, you feel like, hey, we've been stuck at this point for so long.
Right.
That's when the leader has to hold the mirror up and go, okay, I mean, this could be a whole different angle from what we're talking about. It may not be the relational capacity, but when there's a lid on your ministry, you hold the mirror up and go, okay, how am I bottlenecking growth? What's my role?
Yeah, what do I need to let go of that I love so deeply, or whatever that is?
Okay,
Yeah.
now that you and I have floundered around the issue,
Yeah,
let's just wait for the
give
queen.
us some wisdom. Here we go.
Drop it.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Is it Kaukenower or
No.
Kokenower?
You just added your 25th small group leader, right? So you have 25 small group leaders too. So, one of the things I think I only have the capacity to really care and disciple for a few, right? So definitely agreeing with what these guys are saying. I also think that's true as a leader of leaders. I only have the capacity to really you can develop and cast vision and do a lot of things collectively for a larger team of volunteers, but 25 volunteers is a lot of people for even one youth pastor to care for. So what would it look like to bring a couple of key volunteers alongside of you to really help coach that team? I walk with our few that are kind of our longer term leaders. That's kind of the group that I coach. But I have a couple of volunteers who have been around in my ministry for a long time, who I trust, who are part of my team that also coach other volunteer leaders. So, and we love doing it together. So I think, transitioning in that mindset from being the only go-to to having a team of go-to people, I think it just makes ministry sweeter. And I think we're giving better care. I think people are getting better ongoing coaching. If everybody's relying on me, and I get too spread thin as a leader, they're just not getting all of the good stuff that they could get. So I think the more you do kind of create some teams of people to care for people that care for people, it's a lot, right, to have a hierarchy like that. But man, it really helps you to maximize the influence and be more effective as the pastor, as the lead. And I think volunteers can play that role. I don't think that has to be a staff position or anything. I think there are great volunteers out there who care for volunteers really, really well. So 25 leaders is a big team of leaders, and
they don't even have to be. They don't even have to be youth workers either.
They don't. Just people who love people.
Yeah, because at this point you've got so many volunteers that you could find people in your church who are just loving, shepherding, heart-caring people, and say, because you could say, hey, you want to be involved. I don't know if I do very well with kids. That's great. I don't need you to spend time with kids. I need you to spend time with these incredible leaders who are spending time with kids, and then they'll fall in love with kids.
Absolutely.
I'll just throw in one more thing. At DYM 100, we do have one rule, which is not to humble brag. And when you say I have 25 leaders... 25 leaders is like, I grew up in a youth group with 12 kids, so 25 leaders feels...
That's exciting. He shouldn't get punished for that.
All right. Katie has shown you grace.
Okay.
Mr. Krokenauer.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you. That's
whatever
so
it is.
cool.
I thought, are you only 31? Wow.
Were you thinking Grant Bird territory?
I thought he was as old as Grant. So,
hey, congratulations on your engagement, though. That's awesome. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes, congratulations.
Hey, this is a little bit of a surprise guest because I just think this would be interesting. I'm totally putting her on the spot. She has no idea that, as does anybody, because we don't prep the show. We just go for it. Ashley from Houston. Where's Ashley from Houston?
Where is Ashley from Houston?
Come on, Ashley.
Ashley from Houston, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm making it, Katie. I'm making it my goal to have a conversation with all 100 people that are here. All 100 people that are here, and I'm glad you didn't trip.
You made it.
So I've been trying to have a conversation with her, and I'm almost there. Last year and last week, I put all the pressure on myself to do it, and this year I've kind of said, hey, I would like to, so if we haven't, let's go. And Ashley, you're one that I haven't, but I know your story. I know your story before you got here.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, because you live in Houston, and I heard that when the hurricanes came, you were trapped in your house. Tell that story.
Oh, my goodness. Yes.
Are you cool?
Give me some prep time.
No, I know.
No, you would have said no.
We say save it for the show.
Well, we were very blessed and didn't sustain any damage to our own home. but as happened with a lot of people, subdivisions became islands, so roadways were completely impassable. And so we were stuck in our home for 5 days.
Wow, stuck.
Yes.
Like can't get out.
The water came probably halfway up our yard, which is really great compared to a lot of people, you know. But yeah, you couldn't even get a car out.
Did you guys lose power?
We actually only lost power for about 2 hours one time.
Okay.
Oh, that's incredible.
Internet. I mean, really.
I don't mean to make
so
light
blessed.
of that. That almost sounds like a dream to me. To be seriously, to be stuck in my house for a few days with cable.
Let me tell you a story.
Yeah.
And your refrigerator worked? Everything was okay?
Exactly, right.
Man, you should have invited us over. We would have been down in a heartbeat.
I couldn't have got there.
I couldn't have gotten there.
Passable.
But my parents live with me, and my mom actually got stranded in D.C. because she was supposed to be flying back in. And so my dad was there, and he said on the second day, he was like, "This is the best thing that's ever happened to me." And I said, "You cannot say that out, in public." And he was like, "I wake up in the morning, and you're like, 'What do you want for breakfast?' And I come in at lunch, and you're like, 'What do you want for lunch?'" So it was cute.
That is cute. That is cute. And what happened to your church?
Our church didn't sustain any damage either. And what a cool thing that happened was because right where our churches got less rainwater, we were able to be a shelter for surrounding areas for 5 days, which we didn't even have showers at our church. So that is the desperate situation that it was. They were looking for any place that was safe. So we were a temporary shelter, probably saw about 200 different families throughout those 5 days. I didn't because I was trapped in my house, but it was really cool. And one of the neat things, to relate it to youth ministry, since you put me on the spot, one of the really cool things that I saw was students using the things that we have been trying so hard to teach them and ingrain in them all on their own. Just rising to the occasion, showing up at the shelter to serve, without us saying, "Hey, here's a great opportunity." No, they just knew and did it. And I was like, it's awesome.
That's great. Okay, so let's flip that into a leadership lesson. So as the youth pastor, what do you do with those stories?
What do I do with those stories? That's a great question.
Yeah.
Any suggestions?
Yeah. Well, you want that action, that Christ-like action, repeated, right?
Right.
So what you want repeated, you celebrate, and so what you want, you celebrate things within your ministry that you want other people to go, "Oh, they're celebrating that. That makes sense. I could do that." So you capture those stories, and for the next, the next several weeks. As you are now, are you guys meeting back now? Is youth group starting again?
Yes.
Yeah. So
just barely.
Yeah. So you begin to take snapshots of those stories and celebrate those, tell those stories, affirm those kids. You want kids to do ministry. When they do ministry, you celebrate those and tell those stories, and
that's awesome.
Yeah. So it's a really cool moment when students get it. Yeah. That had to be just rewarding to go, I'm not there to it's out of my control.
Yeah.
But they get it. And sometimes you had to have wondered if that kid's ever going to get it. And they did. And you saw it happen. That's rich.
I love that. And it was really cool too for our church, I think, gets it and sees students as the church, not a part of the church. But I just had so many texts from different adults like, "I wish you could see this kid." These things are happening. And so for all of us, I think, it was a great, hey, this is what we're all about.
That's great. Love that.
And even thinking through not just celebrating them in your youth ministries. Sometimes we isolate those stories to only our space. So I love that the whole church is talking about it. And so what does it look like to get those stories out to parents and, senior leadership and people, just drawing them into some of those cool moments too, that really kind of drives that home, which is super fun.
That's great.
Cool.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, you want to stay up here for a little bit?
Sure.
Yeah. How long have you been in youth ministry?
I have been in youth ministry 4 years.
4 years, great.
So
great. So you've got to figure it out.
no.
Yeah, answer the next question. Just blind,
Yeah,
whatever
okay,
it
here
is.
we go.
Just answer it for us. I'm in.
We're gonna give it to you, okay?
You can do it, Ash.
There's
You
only
can
like
do it.
a few thousand people listening. It's not a big deal.
Great. Wonderful.
This is a LGBTQ question.
Fabulous.
No, I'm just kidding. We got a lot of questions, Ashley, about parents. How do you effectively communicate with parents in a culture that has students busy? How do you help encourage parents to get their kids to church? I'm now in charge of adult ministry. What are some ways I can pour into parents? How do you minister to parents who are parenting from fear? What are some time-tested methods of partnering with parents that result in buy-in and ownership of their part? Let's each go around. We can end with you if you want a little time to think.
That's great.
We'll go around and what's a thought, a idea, a tip as it relates to ministering to parents?
That's great. I'll start, if that's okay. I would say honoring parents' time is a really, really big deal. We actually am working on a training for that for the DYM Leader Library in the coming months. But I think when I was early in youth ministry, I wasn't a parent, and so honoring parents' time was just not on my radar whatsoever. So if I was running over, I was like, whatever, this night is youth ministry, and kids are at the church, they should be happy. And honoring parents' time now is a priority because I'm on the receiving end of that, and I am a parent. And so I've always made fun of parents, like, where are they? Their kid is supposed to be picked up. Like, why are they not here? And the other night, I totally blew it. And my son was at church, and I did not pick him up. And they were like, he's the last one here. And we finished an hour ago.
You should feel very terrible.
And I was like, I have become that dad. Oh, no. So I zipped to the church and apologized and whatever. So I just think it'd be a great, as a youth worker, go, man, let's honor parents' time. Let's end on time. Even if we're going to meet people in the parking lot, let's take our conversations out there so you can get kids in the car. Just be more aware of parents, and they've got to commute home after youth group is done. So, and it's a school night. School night was not on my radar at all until my kids had school night. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is a big deal. So I think being really incredibly sensitive to time is a gift that you can give parents.
I think there's things that I've always believed worked with parents. That's a great one. I think clear communication, being, clear in our communication and doing that in a timely manner for parents is always something that I think is huge. Especially, if you're with students who can't drive, they are on their parents' agenda. They're not on their own. So communicating clearly with parents of when, you're hoping to see students or where they're going to be, and then that kind of holds hands with honoring time, but not even just with scheduling, but communication if a student is, struggling and you want to connect and communicate with a parent about that, being willing to go to parents when there's those situations. So communication on a lot of different levels. Also communication celebrating students. When you speak to a parent and you get to celebrate their student in front of them, that's a really cool piece of communication. So I just think clear communication about scheduling, about expectations, about, just being clear in kind of what we're hoping for. But have to tell you, this is an area I'm really struggling in right now with parents because there are some things that I think parents have shifted as far as the generation that is parenting is kind of in a shift. And so I'm experiencing some things with parents for the very first time that I haven't experienced before. The question somebody asked, parenting out of fear. Parents wanting instant gratification, instant response, so parents who are kind of millennials, at the highest, who kind of have some of that mindset are parenting differently than maybe some of the mindsets that I have. And so I'm trying to learn a little bit about that, of how when parents want justice immediately for something without grace or forgiveness or process, not willing to give second chances or give me the benefit of the doubt as quickly. So it's just something in the last year that I've experienced at a little bit more of a heightened level. And I'm just trying to figure out, how do I shut down on my day off when I have 3 angry parents text me after church and not respond. So there's just some interesting things with parents that are happening right now that I'm trying to figure out some new ways to communicate to some maybe parents who are younger than I am. So I don't know. It's just something I'm figuring out.
It's great. It's great. Ashley, are you a parent?
I am not a parent.
Okay. I think my tip relates to those who aren't parents and also those who have young kids. So when you are a parent of a teenager, you move into desperation mode. You just do. You are, we get them in youth group. We get them an hour, 90 minutes a week. But parents of teenagers have them all the time. And so they're desperate to, I think they're desperate to thrive as parents, but they feel like it's more desperate to survive. So they're scared about all the things related to culture. But I think where it comes to a youth worker's got to understand that the parents that you're talking to and the parents that you're ministering to, they are so needy and so desperate. And any type of hope that you can give them, any simple tool, any encouragement you can give them, it just goes so far. Because if you are a parent of a teenager, you can feel like a failure 24/7. You can feel like a crappy parent all the time. And, for you to understand that and kind of walk in those shoes and go, okay, that parent is really insecure about their parenting. What can I do to breathe some security into them? Whether that be encouraging something in their child, helping make their life easier by not charging so much for a camp or a retreat, ending at an earlier time, not scheduling events over finals week. Whatever it is that you help that parent win, you're going to serve that family. But I just think parents have a super difficult time parenting their teenagers. And I don't think before my kids became teenagers, I wasn't cognizant of the pain that they're in.
One of the things, too, that I think we've worked really hard over the years, too, is to help parents understand who their teenagers are, because there's a lot of things about, development and stuff that doesn't change. And so I saw you do that really well, and we try to do that really well, of just helping parents feel like like things are normal. Like, don't jump off the cliff, because your student is rolling their eyes or slamming a door or some of those things. Like, that's everybody, and kind of helping them feel like they're part of a community of parents that is experiencing adolescence together, and just helping them understand, who their teenagers are a little bit, maybe to lower their frustration level or to help them feel some hope. Like, we're all in this together. So
it's good. Ashley, what do you got?
I am thankful for all of these wonderful suggestions, but we are reaching a really large group of unchurched students right now. And so one of the difficulties we have faced is just zero contact with parents. I mean, I've got an email address, and I'm lucky if I see them in the parking lot, and I don't want to be that really super crazy person chasing a car down, hi, but I have, just because I don't want the first time I talk to a parent to be, hi, you're going to need to come get your kid from camp because blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And so just some practical things we've done this year to create an opportunity is our camp meetings became mandatory, and I took them as an opportunity to share why we do what we do, and a little bit of, hey, here's what we're about. And it really had nothing to do with camp, but I made them be there. And then if they couldn't, they had to meet with me individually. And I was like, I've at least seen every person, and they've seen me, and they've heard my heart and our heart for their student. And I think that has gotten us a little bit further in that process. But chasing them down in the parking lot, I've done it.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. That's a great answer.
I like the one-on-one. That's great. Yeah. Hey, have you had a good time at DYM 100?
It's been awesome.
That's great.
Until you put me on the spot.
Yeah, well,
but you're doing so good.
Yeah, you're
we
like
needed
a natural.
You up here.
I forgot they were here.
Yeah, that's what
me
Katie
every
does.
week.
Yeah,
Totally.
Katie doesn't like the live shows very often. This is the most you've ever talked in a live show.
Yeah, I feel like I'm doing a good job.
You're great job.
Crushing it today.
Great job. Typically, you go
Usually
quiet
it's just
at a live
us.
show.
It's just us in a room, and I don't think anyone listens. You know what I mean? Like, I just think, oh, it's just
Katie,
us as friends.
I hate to break it to you, but there's people here.
I know.
Let's give Ashley a big
Thanks,
hand.
Ashley.
Thank you, Ashley.
Great job.
Thanks, dear. one of the guys that runs our Facebook community, his name's Justin Knowles.
Justin Canolis?
Yeah, Justin, come on up here.
Do you pronounce that Coconuls?
Coconut Knowles.
This is such a dumb bit that you keep doing.
It's a great bit. Crockenauer.
So, Justin.
Thanks, Alice.
Go ahead and take your time, buddy.
Yeah, no doubt. This is a dramatic entrance from some guy.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, hey.
Yay.
Justin.
Have you ever been on the show before?
Never.
Welcome to the show.
This is super fun.
What if we just ended it right here? That would be unreal. And we'll see you next time.
Welcome.
Hey,
Justin is a big part of DYM. He heads up the DYM Facebook community group. He's a great youth pastor about an hour away from here.
Like 40 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, north.
Yeah, it's got to be so specific.
That's 42 minutes. I just checked on Google Maps.
Yeah.
But
and used to work with Josh, and actually took over my small group of guys that I had. I had them as 9th graders and 10th graders.
Which is not intimidating at all.
And then when I left, you took them from their junior and their senior year, and
they fixed all the heresy, and they graduated. Well, it was a good job.
They did a much better job. They actually stayed in the church, which was nice. And Justin, you head up the Facebook community.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
Yeah,
we kind of started it like 2 years ago, and because it wasn't a thing, and I said we should start a thing, and you said you start the thing. And it's been awesome.
It's exploded. There's like 5,000 people
that
are talking about youth ministry every day.
Every day. It's crazy.
And what's different about it? Because here's what I hear from people in the youth ministry space, and I'm not a big Facebook guy. Josh and I have a tandem Facebook.
Just a partner. We're partners.
Yeah, we have a partner.
Business partners. We're partners. Yeah.
And I'm not a big. It was just one more thing to check, and that was it. But people that I talk to, youth workers that I talk to, are they say this one's different, and I don't know why, but it's like there's not a lot of bickering or whining or what.
Yeah, it's been crazy because out of the 2 years that we've been doing the Facebook, I've only deleted 2 threads because it kind of got crazy, which is crazy. If anyone's been in any other ones, it gets really heated. And I really do think part of it is because you guys are involved in it. And so, like, no one wants to be that guy to you. Like, if their, like, name is in it or whatever and they start kind of causing trouble, like, they know that Josh and Doug are going to see it or involved in it or whatever. I think that's part of it, but I think the other part of it is just the community, like, what DYM is. Like, this is, it's well-respected, and there's different types of people, and Baptists could get along with Presbyterians and, do all that kind of stuff, and just realize we're all from different types of stuff. So it's crazy. Yeah. So it's been really fun.
I love the variety of stuff that comes on there. It really is wild. They'll be like, I need an illustration for tonight. And there'll be 43 replies. And I'm like, what? That's, or here's a sermon series idea. Do you think is it too dated, or is it cool, or is it, and replies and the likes
it's
and the fun.
Super practical. Like,
it's
there's
really
so much good practical stuff.
Yeah, and there's really tough questions on there and a lot of different perspectives on how to answer that or address it. It's great.
Yeah, that is one of the beauties of the body of Christ. There is somebody wrote in, no name, but I have more of a progressive theology, and I'm wondering if there's a place for those like us in youth ministry where we always feel like an outsider. Well, I think the only reason you feel like an outsider is because you're part of, I would say you're part of a conservative, group. But when you go into a progressive, you hang out with progressive or people theologically are going to bend more towards neo-orthodox or liberal. You're going to, a conservative is going to feel a little bit more, you can find people like you. It's just, I would say that this group here, partly because of our background in leadership, tends to be a little bit more evangelical or conservative. But yeah, that's the beauty of the body of Christ is we're different. We argue on some things, but we focus on Jesus, and that's a good place to be.
Yeah, it's been really cool.
There's rumor that there's some other podcast that's out there. Do you want to make a little pitch for your podcast? You started about 6 weeks ago.
Have you never listened to it, Doug?
I haven't, but it doesn't mean I wouldn't love it.
Yeah.
I just haven't.
Well, yeah, it's called the Other Student Ministry Podcast.
I love Justin.
Yeah.
I love Justin too.
Thank you. I heard that last week. I wasn't here for this live thing, and I heard that Joshua was talking trash on it. Only because...
No, I wasn't talking about trash about your podcast. I was talking about trash about what you were saying on the podcast.
Yeah.
That's completely different. The podcast is excellent.
No, to be fair, I heard it was like they were drawing it out of you because they didn't believe that you actually listened to.
Right, I had to prove to the crew here that I had actually listened to your show.
Because you actually you disagree with what we're doing.
I
which
do
is
disagree
great.
with what you're doing, but I love you,
yeah.
and I love that you're trying new things. And I hope you prove me wrong.
I hope so too.
We'll have you back on another show. I'm a co-host, I can say that. We'll have you back and you can tell us if it worked.
Yeah.
Or you can
But
apologize.
see, that's a great thing about leadership. So when I was an intern with Jim Burns, and he was the first guy that I worked with, I wanted to do things different than he did. And when he left, I got the opportunity to do that. You know, you work for Josh.
That's true.
You took a lot of Josh's stuff to your new setting and went, oh, wait, I'm better than Josh. No, I mean, I can do something different. And that's the beauty of leadership. Even in DYM, we've got things where, you know, I'll be in a meeting with McBee and he'll talk about something and I go, okay, I wouldn't do it that way, but go. Like, I want you to succeed because you're thinking different. If we all think alike, we're not needed.
I agree.
Yeah, and it's been really fun. But it's called like the Other Student Ministry Podcast. I do it with my worship, the guy who leads worship for us, and we just talk about, we do hacks. It was actually, Josh was the one that kind of said, you should start this, because we were talking about, I was helping him with his workshop at Orange about hacks in youth ministry, and that there's like, we're just going to talk about practical like steps on how to do different things in student ministry, and we just have a conversation. It's been really, really fun. I don't care if anyone listens to it. Me and him, Matt, have had a great time just doing it, and so it's been really fun. Yeah.
You care.
I mean, a little bit.
Care. No, just,
like a little
you
bit.
care. You don't want to do something nobody's going to listen to.
Because
you said it, you bought equipment, and you care.
Well, he had all the stuff. I don't even know what to do.
You worked with Josh too long.
Yeah,
I care.
Yeah, you picked up
care.
that kind of
You
stuff.
care.
Like, oh, I don't care.
So do I.
You care.
So, hey, so the Other Student Ministry Podcast, you guys should all subscribe.
That's right. There you go.
And make it.
There you go.
Glad to have you here. Thanks
Let's
for all
give
you do
Justin
for
a big
DYM,
hand.
Justin.
Yeah, thanks,
Justin.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Hey, I just got a text, and that text is one of our podcast regulars.
Oh, wow.
Is actually just walked in.
What?
You want to try to get? I mean, this is this person who's been on the show. We won't say it's Kathy Fields. Kathy's been on the show.
Kathy has been on the show
5 or 6
and would
times.
be great.
This is somebody who's been on the show more than Kathy.
I'm gonna guess.
It's competition between you two.
I saw the text.
Oh, you saw the text.
I'm gonna say.
Why
I
say
looked
that?
right over his shoulder.
Exactly.
I was so
I'm gonna
excited.
say it's Captain Pismo himself, Matt McGill.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jessica Sanchez, come on down.
Where's Jessica?
Maybe she left.
Oh, she's gone.
Oh,
No, she's right there.
Jessica, get down here. Hurry.
Jess and I never are on the show together, which is a
I didn't know
bummer.
you were here.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
This is so fun.
Quick hug. Hi. I love Jessica Sanchez so much. I did
Hi,
not
dear.
know. It's unbelievable.
Jessica is
I'm
a.
recovering from a head cold.
That's
And
why I'm
traveling
not,
the
I'm not
world, because
touching
you've
you.
been all over the entire globe.
Guys, when you are not a youth pastor anymore, you travel the world. In September, nonetheless.
Jessica's been a youth pastor for 15 years, 20 years. What
it
was
was 10 when I started.
10 when you started?
I'm 25.
No, but it was 15 years?
Yeah, 15
years doing youth ministry. A fabulous thinker, leader,
such a good
administrator,
youth worker.
discipler.
Athlete.
You know
Dancer.
that I love you because you discipled my daughter, who's right there in the front row. And, you know, anytime, this is a truth about ministry, she could be an evil person, but I would love her because of how my daughter talks about you.
I love her.
Yeah, because you have,
I'm also
you
a very
have.
emotional person, so I could start crying right now.
I'm a crier too. You know, so's Cass. But that's the thing is that, you know, when you invest in people's kids, you know, they are indebted to you. So, you know, you could.
I'll take the check any
stab
day, Doug.
puppies
Any day,
as
I'll
a
take
hobby,
that
and I
check
would
in
be
the
like,
mail.
oh, she's great.
No, so I work with adults now. Boo.
You and
Who
Andrew.
sometimes act like teenagers, so that's new. But I just reflect so much on the 15 years that I got to only think about teenagers and the people that care for them. And I am a very sappy person. I always say I live on a scale from 1 to 10 emotionally. 1 is oh, I'm so sad. And 10 is I'm so excited. And if I'm not between a 4 and a 6, I'm crying. I'm crying if I'm really sad, and I'm crying if I'm really excited and really happy. And so I feel like this last season, if I'm really vulnerable and honest, has really triggered so many tears, and it's triggered tears of grief, that it's been the end of a really sweet season, but it's also triggered a lot of really grateful tears because, it just was so fun. Like, Cassie and I got coffee before she went off to do incredible work in Africa this summer after she graduated from college, and to get to be a part of student stories from braces and like dateless nights and awkward zits to
we're getting kind of a little honing in on Cassie right here. Let's make it more general. That was
but just to get to be to then get to be so awed and like just in awe of like what God has done in their lives is so precious. And so like you guys will always be my people. Ride or die.
Same. Yeah. You're a great youth worker, Jess.
Okay, so Jessica, let's talk about something. You've watched Cassie. She's been dating this guy for 5 years now.
Oh yes, I'm obsessed.
Yeah? With what? With him?
With him?
No,
with them.
I'm obsessed with him.
You're
What's the deal?
like
he's a stud.
Put a ring on it. Let's go.
Seriously?
What are you thinking?
We talked about this at the beginning of the summer.
Yeah, I mean, can you have a Christ-centered relationship for 5 years?
No.
What do you think of their relationship?
Like me? No. Her? Yeah.
Yeah, she can.
I'm being honest and vulnerable, Doug. I haven't been perfect. I feel like there are those like rare gems that have just modeled that. Like for sure, Cassie and Jacob have. Like they've set in place like family being involved and mentors being involved and having honest conversations and being vulnerable and then being honest when mistakes do happen.
Yeah.
And I think it's possible.
Yeah.
Like they've beat the
We
odds.
like the guy a lot. I mean,
he's a good dude. I almost thought about starting a Facebook page with him just as partners because he's just be cool. Josh and Jake. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Kind of as your ministry?
Just as my ministry.
Yeah, so now you know how I feel. Yeah. All right. Hey, Jessica, you're adorable. You're wonderful. Thanks for the influence in my family's life. And, the fact that you have served on the podcast and cared for people, and these are your people. And, Kathy said to me last night, she said, "Are you so tired?" And I said, "Yeah, but it's a good tired. Like, I love these people because I know them. I know what they're about. And we get to do this, together is just such a good thing. So thanks for being here.
Love you guys.
Love you too.
Jessica Torres Sanchez, everybody.
Cheers. Go for the homies.
You know what? We're gonna end the podcast.
Okay.
But Allison has said there's one guy that has just been jonesing to sit in this chair. And so I feel like Allison's like, he's driving me crazy.
Well, Justin's already been on. I don't understand. Hey, are we not talking about the thing that's I thought we were going to talk about the tattoo. Are we not talking about the tattoo?
Oh, that we have 3 guys that are going to get DYM tattoos, and we actually found a tattoo artist
who's coming tonight to the secret location to do the.
Are those
DYM?
3 guys still in? Stand up if you're still in.
Yeah, we got to see, right? If they're
1, 2, 3 DYM tattoos.
For reals?
You guys need to see Allison afterwards because apparently there's some body parts that require different type of tattoo.
Additional cost.
Yeah, Tim Wadsworth, come on down real quick so we can end this thing.
Tim Wadsworth in the house.
Come on.
No applause for Tim. How about a round of applause for Tim? There it is.
Why are you laughing so much?
Because I'm excited that Tim's coming to the table. You made it. We talked about this.
Well, grab the mic.
Excited.
Dream come true.
There's room at the table for you,
If this is the dream come true, open the water. Feel like you're at home. No, keep the mic going. Yeah. If this is the dream come true, it feels like you ought to have some bigger dreams. Yeah.
No, this is it.
This is it.
Does it get better than that?
So this is the end of
the road. Is it everything you hoped?
Not really.
Shoot.
No, it is.
Exactly.
Thank you, Allison.
Yeah. What's
should we give him
why have you been are you a rewinder? Are you a podcast guy? What's your story?
Well, I came and visited you guys in Atlanta at the Student Leadership Conference, which is awesome. You guys should check that out.
Yes.
And Allison and I were talking. We were eating pizza, and we started talking podcast. And I said, you know what you should do? You should start having like cameo appearances by gold members or just people in the DYM community.
Hey, you find more at dymmembership.com. Continue.
Boom. And she went on for about 15 minutes mocking me and telling me it was never going to happen.
Wow.
And
Don't
here we
let her
are.
talk. She's an exaggerator. and then we pulled you in, and you were like the icing on the cake of how it was never going to happen.
Yeah, there's no way.
I mentioned it to Doug. He kind of giggled and walked away. But then I saw Katie.
That's his way of saying no. That's like a hard no.
But then I saw Katie, and like the love of Jesus, like she was like, I think that's a great idea. And boom, here I am.
You think you're here because of Katie?
A little bit. Because then I went back
Allison's
to
my best
Allison and
friend.
said, hey, Katie said. And she was like, oh. And then boom.
Wow.
It happened.
Oh.
So you've got pull.
If you
This
get
is
to
cool
Katie,
to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they ooh and ah over you every show. They're like, Katie, the queen.
Well, that's kind.
She's incredible.
Well, you're
That's
welcome
because
for
it's
sitting
true.
there.
Yeah.
I'm so glad.
Yeah. Well, Josh and I often say we work for Allison anyway. So if
Don't mess with Allison.
I
She's
know.
That future husband that's going to be an interesting dude. Yeah.
He's going to be the best.
I don't think
that feels like that
we
was.
don't relationship shame anybody here.
No,
Everybody's...
I'm saying that's
Burn him! Burn him! Burn him!
what I meant by that was he's going to be a fantastic dude.
He has to be top tier in order to deserve you, Alice.
That's exactly right.
That's what you were trying to say.
Yeah,
That's
well,
what you were trying to say.
ladies and gentlemen, Tim Wadsworth's the
Yay,
last
Tim!
time ever on the podcast. Hey! All right, hey.
Tim, I'm so
Take
glad
the
you were
water.
here,
You
Tim.
got it. I'm glad your dreams have been
Me
fulfilled.
too. It's
as
nice.
will my dreams be fulfilled when somebody gets a DYM tattoo.
Oh my goodness.
Today's the
happening.
day. Today's the day.
Well, last week we had a 49-year-old guy. Were you here last week when the guy, 49 years old, no ink at all, and he wanted to get one. We couldn't get a tattoo guy here.
You're sure you want to do
Yeah, really think and pray about
Now
it.
there's three people.
All right,
It's so
he's
exciting.
He's going wrist.
Oh,
He'll
you
go
got-
wherever.
You have a few already.
We'll go thigh.
Okay.
We got
Thigh.
wrist, thigh,
Thigh.
self. Where do you want to go? Where's it going to be?
Neck.
Wait. Would you let us spin the wheel of destiny with different body locations?
No, say no.
I'll give you $100 if you get it lower back. Lower back. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right, everybody. Episode 320. We're done. We love you. Nicely done. Thanks again to our sponsors, Orange, YM360s, and Leader Tracks. If you have questions, send it to podcast@downloadyouthministry.com. Just you and me, Katie. Just you and me. I don't even know that song. All right.